Welcome back to the Whirlpool, where fibs and fabrications are pulled under and drowned. I'm Michael Worley. Here's a fabrication that should be drowned along with the person who fabricated it. A limited number of private audiences with Angelicus II, Archbishop of Wilkes-Barre, will be available following his saying of the Mass this Sunday at the Church of St. Veritas. This Sunday refers to this past Sunday, as you saw advertised on this very program last week. I, along with dozens of other loyal members of the One True Church, attended Mass at the Church of St. Veritas that morning, and I, as a prominent member of the church-adjacent media, had hoped to have one of these promised private meetings with the glorious and wise leader of our church, the Archbishop of Wilkes-Barre and rightful Vicar of Christ, Angelicus II. I spent much of the week leading up to that Mass preparing a list of questions to ask His Preeminence, questions I imagine all members of the OTC would like the answers to, such as, when the Conciliar Church and all other rival factions have been defeated and you take your rightful place upon the throne of St. Peter, will that be in Rome? Or will you be relocating the throne to here in Wilkes-Barre? When can we expect that updated list of mortal sins that sends you straight to hell if you die without absolution of them? And would you consider titling the press release announcing the list, Hell's Express Lane? Subtitle, No Exits to Purgatory Beyond This Point! Exclamation mark. Have you given any further consideration to my petition to canonize my great-grand-uncle Archbishop Fulton J. Worley? I realize he was not officially a member of the One True Church since his disappearance, almost certainly the result of an arrest and illegal detainment by the Vatican following his admittedly misguided attempt to violate the remains of Pope John XXIII, occurred before the OTC was officially founded. However, Archbishop Worley's televised teachings and the example of his courageous, though somewhat tasteless act of rebellion against the illegitimate authority of the Vatican helped to inspire his nephew, my great-uncle Edmund, better known as St. Veritas, ever heard of him, to split from the Vatican, and they remain an inspiration to the faithful of the One True Church to this very day. Rest in peace, Uncle Fulton. Surely this day you are with our Heavenly Father in paradise. Unless he died in a state of mortal sin, which is another reason I'd like to see that updated list. Though, making Uncle Fulton a saint would render that question moot in his particular case, as our Heavenly Father himself said to St. Peter, "Whatsoever you shall bind upon the earth shall be bound also in heaven, and whatsoever you shall loose upon the earth shall be loosed also in heaven." Do you see how interesting this interview would have been? Well, it didn't happen. The Holiest Father's time after the Mass was apparently monopolized by a member of the official church media, someone whose programs aren't required to display a disclaimer at the end, someone who isn't even a member of the One True Church and yet has been elevated to a position of such prominence among the laity that you might think it was his family who founded this church, except you'd be wrong because it wasn't. No, I'm not going to get angry about this. I'm not going to allow him to have this power over me. I'm not even going to say his name on this show.
Mark Fairsing sits down for a candid interview with the primate of the One True Church, Angelicus II, Archbishop of Wilkes-Barre. Catch highlights all next week during WOTC Channel 67's News at 6, and purchase the DVD, which includes not only the complete uncut interview, but also the wise and timely homily delivered by Angelicus II this past Sunday at the Church of St. Veritas. It's our gift to you in exchange for $19.95. Brought to you by WOTC Channel 67 and Northeastern Pennsylvania's favorite son, 3-time Cecilia Award winner Mark Fairsing.
I'd like to apologize for spending this episode of The Whirlpool commenting on a personal matter. Longtime viewers will recall that I have not made my private life a subject of this show since the conclusion of the 16-part series on my divorce settlement I produced several years ago, Hell Hag, Why the End of My Marriage Was 0% My Fault. But sometimes you encounter an injustice you just can't overlook. Christ did command us to turn the other cheek, but he also refused to let people walk all over him. When he saw that a fig tree had no figs for him, he didn't just shrug and say, "Oh well, I guess I'll just come back when figs are in season." He cursed the tree and it withered and died. I don't know what dark enchantments you've used to bewitch the leaders of the one true church, Mark. I mean, person whose name I am not saying, but I will find out. I will uncover your hidden truth, and with it I shall curse you and watch you wither. Because you are the fig tree, and I am Jesus Christ! Rhetorically speaking. Not that it matters. I haven't seen the revised list of mortal sins, but I'm pretty sure declaring yourself to be the Son of God is covered by something on there. If anyone needs me, I'll be at confession. For the Whirlpool, I'm Michael Worley.